What if I told you that China could cripple every F-35 fighter jet, shut down every iPhone factory, and bring America's military to its knees with just 17 obscure elements most people have never heard of? This isn't some conspiracy theory. This is the reality of rare earth elements, the invisible backbone of our modern world. And right now, China controls the tap. Today, we're diving into the most dangerous monopoly on Earth, one that makes America's military, economy, and technological supremacy hang by a thread. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this could be the defining geopolitical battle of our lifetime. Picture this: you're holding an iPhone. Inside that sleek device are 17 different rare earth elements with names that sound like they came from a science fiction movie. Neodymium, dysprosium, terbium. These aren't just random metals. They're the secret ingredients that make your phone vibrate, your screen light up, and your speakers produce crystal clear sound. But here's where the story gets interesting. Despite their name, rare earth elements aren't actually that rare. The problem isn't finding them, it's extracting and processing them. And that's where China saw an opportunity that would reshape global power forever. Back in the 1960s, America was the undisputed king of rare earths. We controlled the mines, we controlled the processing, and we controlled the future. The Mountain Pass mine in California was pumping out more rare earths than the rest of the world combined. America was sitting on a gold mine. Literally. But while America was busy celebrating its dominance, China was playing a completely different game. In the 1980s, a Chinese leader made a prophetic statement. The Middle East has oil, China has rare earths. This wasn't just boasting. It was a declaration of war on American technological supremacy. China didn't just want to compete in the rare earth market. They wanted to own it. And they had a plan that was as brilliant as it was ruthless. First, they flooded the global market with cheap rare earths, selling them at prices so low that nobody else could compete. American companies focused on short-term profits couldn't match China's artificially low prices. One by one, American rare earth operations shut down. The Mountain Pass mine, once America's crown jewel, closed its doors in 2002. But the Chinese strategy went deeper than just undercutting prices. They were playing a generational game. While other countries were abandoning their rare earth industries, China was investing billions in research, development, and infrastructure. They built entire cities around rare earth processing. They trained thousands of engineers. They perfected techniques that took decades to develop. By 2010, China controlled a staggering 95% of global rare earth production. America, the former superpower of rare earths, was now completely dependent on its biggest rival for materials that were essential to its national security. A Chinese fishing trawler collided with Japanese Coast Guard vessels near the disputed Senkaku Islands. What should have been a minor diplomatic incident became a terrifying demonstration of China's rare earth weapon. China immediately banned rare earth exports to Japan. Overnight, Japanese factories ground to a halt. Toyota couldn't build hybrid cars. Sony couldn't manufacture electronics. But global supply chain, which had seemed so robust, revealed its fatal weakness. The message was clear: cross China and we'll turn off the tap. But this was just a warning shot. The real target was always America. Today, the situation has become even more dire. China has imposed export restrictions on 7 rare earth elements and magnets in retaliation for new U.S. tariffs. These materials are vital to defense technologies, but the United States is entirely dependent on China for their supply. Think about what this means. Every Lockheed Martin F-35 fighter jet, for example, is built with 920 pounds of rare earths. An Aegis destroyer requires around 5,200 pounds. America's most advanced military hardware is literally built with Chinese materials. The rabbit hole goes even deeper. While China controlled up to 95% of global RE mine production in 2010, competitors have claimed increasingly large shares of RE mining over the past decade. Notably, as of 2024, Australia, 5%, and the US, 12%, have accelerated mine production. Nevertheless, the most profound choke point in today's RE supply chain is processing, where China still controls approximately 90% of global capacity. Here's the cruel irony. America might mine rare earths on American soil, but we ship them to China to be processed, then buy them back as finished products. It's like growing wheat in Kansas, shipping it to China to be turned into bread, then importing that bread to feed American families. This isn't just about military hardware. Your Tesla, powered by Chinese rare earths, wind turbines generating clean energy, they need neodymium magnets processed in China. Medical MRI machines saving lives in American hospitals, they depend on Chinese rare earth elements. China controls approximately 85% of global rare earth processing capacity. Entire regions of China became environmental disasters, but Beijing saw this as an acceptable cost for global dominance. American companies focused on quarterly profits were happy to outsource this dirty work. Politicians focused on election cycles ignored the long-term strategic implications. While China was thinking in decades, America was thinking in quarters. Now, America is waking up to the monster it helped create. As of 2024, China controls approximately 70% of U.S. rare earth imports and nearly 90% of global rare earth processing. The U.S. mines none of the 15 most critical minerals domestically. Recent years have shown us exactly how this weapon can be used. During the trade war with Trump, China threatened rare earth export controls. When tensions rose over Taiwan, Chinese officials openly discussed using rare earths as leverage. Every major geopolitical crisis now comes with the implicit threat. Push us too far, and we'll cut off your supply of the materials that power your modern civilization. This isn't theoretical anymore. The United States is particularly exposed to processing restrictions for heavy rare earths, given China separates 99.9% of them. Imagine waking up tomorrow to news that China has cut off all rare earth exports to America. Within months, American factories would start shutting down. Military production would grind to a halt. The technology sector would collapse. America's military superiority, built over decades, would evaporate as existing equipment broke down and couldn't be replaced. This is China's ultimate leverage. Not nuclear weapons, not aircraft carriers, but control over the elements that make modern technology possible. But America isn't going down without a fight. The Biden administration has declared rare earths a national security priority. Billions are being invested in domestic mining and processing capabilities. The Pentagon is stockpiling rare earths like a country preparing for siege. Mining companies are reopening shuttered facilities. The Mountain Pass mine, closed for over a decade, is operational again. New partnerships with Australia and other allies are being forged to create alternative supply chains. Yet the challenge is immense. The U.S. was 80% net import reliant in 2024, meaning that net imports minus exports, accounted for 80% of apparent consumption in the U.S. last year. Building the infrastructure to process rare earths takes years. Training the engineers takes longer, and all the while, China isn't standing still. They're investing even more heavily in rare earth technology, developing new processing methods, and securing supply chains worldwide. So here's where we stand. America, the world's most powerful nation, is utterly dependent on its greatest rival for the materials that power its military, its economy, and its way of life. China has spent decades building this stranglehold, and they're not afraid to use it. This isn't just about trade or economics. This is about survival. The country that controls rare earths controls the future of technology, military power, and economic dominance. Right now, that country is China. The question isn't whether this dependency is dangerous. It obviously is. The question is whether America can break free before China decides to pull the plug. The clock is ticking, and every day that passes makes America more vulnerable to a threat most people don't even know exists. The rare earth monopoly isn't just China's greatest weapon. It might be America's greatest weakness. And in the great game of global power, that's a weakness that could prove fatal. The semiconductor war is just getting started.